posted a modified agenda in the chat.
We posted a modified agenda in the chat.
In the second panel, there'll be mainly a meet and greet with our best friends.
And in the second panel, it will mainly be a meet and greet with our Bazelon friends.
They're new to Bazelon.
They're new to Bazelon.
But I tell you, Bazelon has been so important for our movement for decades.
But I tell you, Bazelon has been so important to our movement for decades.
Psychiatric survivor activism is difficult.
I mean, psychiatric survivor activism is difficult.
So knowing there's a nonprofit that supports human rights, mental health has always been so comforting.
So knowing that there is a nonprofit which supports human rights and mental health has always been so comforting.
You know, years ago when we did a DC event, Bazelon helped us do a conference.
Years ago when we did a DC event, Bazelon helped us do a conference or a counter conference.
We were trying to include law students.
We were trying to include law students.
Hello, Tyler.
Hello, Tyler. Tyler's.
So, as we wait for folks, feel free to informally network.
So as we wait for folks, feel free to informally network.
Tyler, I feel that I've emailed you a few times. I forget where everybody's at, though. I'm here in Eugene, Oregon. John. Where's everybody at? Where are you at, Tyler?
I'm in Napa Valley, California.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, nice place here.
Oh, yeah, all right. Where are you, Mira? I forgot.
The Netherlands.
Oh my goodness. How could I forget that? You're from what time is it where you are?
That's why I put the tulips here so that you it's 10 in the evening.
Wow. Tulips. Yes. Yes. Because we're all capitalist market-based consumers of things that aren't necessarily healthy for us.
John,
Sorry.
I'm not sure what the connection is. Sorry.
Tulips, they sold a lot of futures to tulips a while back, and you know, the system broke down. People were selling like a stock of a tulip for, you know, I don't know, millions of dollars in today's money.
You're talking about 300 years ago? Yeah, very good. Very good.
John has been a great volunteer for MFI.
Every week we work together on affiliates and sponsors.
Every week we work together on affiliates and sponsors.
Hey, Ron.
Hey, Ron.
How about we begin in about a minute?
How about we begin in about 1 minute?
I've sent out a modified agenda.
I've sent out a modified agenda.
David, did you say the modified agenda is in the chat?
Yeah, it's our purpose.
That was on purpose, yes.
I'm looking in the chat and I don't see it. What am I doing wrong?
Oh, David, it is possible maybe that people don't see it if it was sent before they joined.
Oh yeah, that's all three.
Yeah, we will resend the agenda right now.
Send it out.
You need to scroll upwards.
Hold on, we got this.
No, it has to be sent out after you've gotten into the meeting.
Oh, okay.
Part 1.
There it is. Yay. I can see it now.
This is the amazing Ian.
David says, this is the amazing Ian.
One of my 6 caregivers,
One of my 6 caregivers,
full-time,
full-time,
brilliant activist,
and a brilliant activist, allegedly,
and humorous.
and humorous.
So, Ron, why don't we start?
So, Ron, why don't we start?
Okay, hello, everybody. Sorry I got in a little bit late. David, you always had a good sense of humor. There's no question about that. Well, welcome all. This is part of a project that David is leading to have us be more connected, more helpful, more supportive, and also to know what the different affiliates are doing, you know, both how we could support that, how we could build on that, and how we could all be on the same wavelength. And I'll talk about that more, but I think probably the best thing to do right now is have people introduce themselves. I'm the executive director of MindFreedom International. And I always see MindFreedom International as being David. So I'm following in David's footsteps. I try to expand upon what we have been doing because we have laid fairly fallow for a number of years since David's accident. And we're doing some exciting projects, and we can talk about that more, how we can all work in together in furthering our main issue, which are the rights of people within the mental health system. And now we're aligning with the rights of anybody who is in a congregate living setting, who is being treated in a way that they don't want, which is out of their control. So I think probably looking at the agenda, we can go around with a brief introduction of ourselves. And maybe we could start with Mira and just go around. Would that be okay?
Yeah, thanks for the honor to. I'm Mira de Vries. I'm on the board of MedSelf, that's short for Medical and Therapeutic Self-Determination. And we've been around for more than 20 years. And what we're currently doing is updating our website and hoping to attract more attention. Thank you.
Thanks, Mira. I don't know if we all see the screen the same way, so I'm just going down to, from Mira, we're going to John Marshall. I'm just going around on my screen. John.
Yeah, I like that. I like that, Ron, using your screen because everybody's is going to have a different order. My name is John Marshall. I'm here in Eugene, Oregon. MindFreedom, part of, I guess, I'm not even sure, maybe the Lane County MindFreedom. I joined MindFreedom to keep me more grounded and to show me that I can be sane and to make those choices that I need to make to be sane. And part of that is to be of service to others who are experiencing similar life challenges as myself.
Thanks, John. Reginald, can you go next?
Hello, I'm Reginald, or you can call me Reggie. I'm one of the new communications interns for the Bazelon Center this summer, and I'm from Spring Branch, Texas.
Well, welcome. I'm sure you're going to learn a lot at Bazelon. Hopefully you can learn a lot and help us too. Larry, could you go next?
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, it's been quite the whirlwind here. To be brief, last year we had the #4 storm in the nation. You probably didn't hear about it. It didn't get a lot of national press, but it was like an inland hurricane and caused quite a bit of damage and caused the whole town. And so we're just now getting back to where we should be. And there's all kinds of things going on in the background. Then the phone died. then the computer died, then the car died. So I'm here, but I do have to cut out just a little bit early to pick up my car in order to be able to go to a meeting tomorrow.
Thanks for making the time to come
Yeah,
with all
you
the stuff
bet.
that's going on.
Iowa, by the way.
Michael, would you introduce yourself, please?
Yes, I'm Michael Liebachek, Executive Director of Folk Time, a small peer-run organization in Portland, Oregon, and I'm working towards developing an affiliate in Portland.
Thank you. Welcome. Rachel?
Yes, hi. My name's Rachel Levy. Sorry I'm a little late. I was having trouble signing into the Zoom link. But yes, I'm in Portland, Oregon. I'm with the group Rethinking Psychiatry. We're longtime allies of MindFreedom, share very similar mission and values. Good to see you all.
Glad to see you here, Rachel. And there's another
Thanks.
Rachel. So
Yes.
Rachel Arnold, would you introduce yourself?
Yes, I am the second Rachel Arnold. I'm with Disability Rights International, based in Washington, D.C. And our president, Lori Ahern, is a longtime friend of David's and of Ron's. And I'm very happy to be joining the meeting today.
Glad you're here. Thanks for coming. I'm going to move back to Claire. Claire Siegel, would you?
I'm also with the Bazelon Center along with Reggie. I'm also one of the new communications interns, and I'm from Philadelphia.
Great. Welcome. Let's see, going up. I don't think, David, you have to introduce yourself. Sarah, you might introduce yourself, please.
Wait, David or Sarah?
Sarah.
Oh, okay.
Unless, David, you want to say something about yourself.
I want to say something positive about you.
Well, I want to say something positive about you.
Ron, you're doing a great job.
Ron, you are doing a great job.
Next year will be 10 years after my severe accident.
Next year will be 10 years after my severe accident.
And you're doing wonderful, Ron.
And you are doing wonderful, Ron.
You truly are the director.
You truly are the director.
And by the way, my main role, MindFreedom, I work with MindFreedom Oregon affiliate.
And by the way, my main role within MindFreedom is I'm working with MindFreedom Oregon's affiliate, or the MindFreedom Oregon affiliate.
Also, I want to mention that when we started this, we call groups like DRI, Bazelon sponsors.
And I want to mention that we call groups like DRI and Bazelon sponsors.
Yeah. Thanks. But you're doing great, Ron.
Thanks. You're doing great, Ron.
Thanks, David. You made it easy. You've been supportive. Sarah?
Thank you. I'm Sarah Smith. I work for MindFreedom International. So I'm a staff member. I guess I'm the only staff member of MindFreedom that has actually worked for both executive directors, the founding executive director, David Oakes, and the new executive director, Ron Bassman. And so I want to just say that I am so grateful we actually have an executive director, because working in office during the interim period without that leadership was kind of a hardship. And it was a great relief when the board hired Ron. And so things are, I haven't had so much hope for MindFreedom as I have since the board decided to hire Ron. And I'm very excited that the board of directors has prioritized building the affiliates, expanding the affiliates, and expanding the SHIELD program. So some of the things that really make MindFreedom well known for are like in a really good space right now, because there's a lot of optimism around those. So I'm grateful to be here, and thank you, David, for putting this meeting together.
Thanks, Sarah. Obviously you're indispensable to the workings of MindFreedom, and I appreciate you. Let's see, maybe we can go down to Kelly, another staff member. Kelly, could you introduce yourself, please?
Hi, my name's Kelly. I'm also in Eugene, Oregon with Sarah and a staff member of MindFreedom International. It's nice to see you all here. Sorry, I'm just landing. I was having some troubles logging in. So I don't know what else we're including in our introductions, but thanks for having me, and I look forward to hearing all your introductions.
Thanks, Kelly. Tyler, could you introduce yourself, please?
Hi, my name's Tyler. I'm also an intern at the Bazelon Center, one of the communication interns, and I'm currently in St. Helena, California, which is part of the Napa Valley.
Great. Glad to have you. And let's see.
Jim.
Jim, glad you were able to make it with this late notice. This is Jim Gotch, our newest board member, and been a contributor and a vital part of working with MindFreedom. So please introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm Jim Godson with the Law Project for Psychiatric Rights, Psych Rights, whose mission is to mount a strategic litigation campaign against forced psychiatric drugging and electroshock. And we've been a supporter, I guess, sponsor of MindFreedom for many moons.
Thanks, Jim. Jim has also written up his battle with the drug companies in the book, The Zyprexa Papers, which I hope, gets the attention it deserves. Did we get everybody? Everybody had a chance to introduce themselves?
I think Mira wanted to say something.
I wanted to second the motion about the great book, The Zyprexa Papers. Absolutely worth reading.
Thank you, Mira. Okay, let's see. The next thing on the agenda is our new group spotlight, which would be, I suppose it'd be good to start with Larry because he has to leave soon. You want to say something about introducing what you're doing and how we can be supportive? And when I say we can be supportive, I'm talking about all of you interacting with your affiliates with each other, not just interacting with MindFreedom in Eugene.
Yeah, that's great. And I really appreciate your thoughtfulness on the early time. There's several things that we all have to pay attention to, of course. One of the things that we pay attention to here locally is an alteration in the law that happened a few years ago, where they made civil commitments easier to get under state law. And apparently Iowa was not the only place that did that. It sounds like a wave of other states did that back in about 2018, 2019. Again, in order to make, the idea is to make it a little bit easier to get people help. But of course, it doesn't always pan out that way. And there's many problems with that. So that's one thing that's gotten my attention here, is to see what might be possible to counter that somehow, because it's now quite easy to commit somebody in the state of Iowa who has any history of psychiatric illness, quote unquote. And I've shared an article with, I think, Sarah and Ron and David and maybe a few others, Jim, on what happened, and I'm happy to forward that if anybody wants it. But I would think it would be interesting beyond the state of Iowa and to other people, because something like this happens, people catch wind of it, and it catches on. So it's something to be aware of. But I don't know how much.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh, thanks. I know that there's actually a proposed bill here in Oregon, which David was one of the people who brought that to my attention, along with Kevin Fitz, who I'm sure some of you know, who's very connected to Oregon legislation. There's a new bill that basically would expand the definition of the word dangerous, which of course is already a very subjective term,
Right.
and easier to have people involuntarily committed. And in fact, at 2 o'clock today, I actually have a Zoom talk with my state representative. There was something that there was an email going around. I think both David and Kevin had forwarded this about encouraging us to voice our opposition to this to our state legislators. And I actually surprisingly did hear back from an aide from the office of my state legislator, Rob Nose, Representative Rob Nose, and I have a Zoom talk at 2 about it. I was actually surprised to even hear back from them at all. So yeah, I know that is going around, but it was encouraging that he was at least willing to hear my concerns about it.
That's very interesting. And you know, it kind of dovetails with what I was going to say next, and that is, well, for one, I spoke with the state ombudsperson. It was actually a woman, not an ombudsman, but an ombudswoman. And she was giving all kinds of ideas, and she was a great resource. I mean, I don't think everybody's going to have that luck, but I would think that'd be interesting to MindFreedom and to other affiliates that that's one of the places you can go, and they might actually listen to you and be able to churn out ideas. And of course, one of their ideas was to contact a state or local representative and see if you might be able to get something going in the state legislature. And that's where it kind of left off with myself. I did that, but I didn't get very far.
Thank you, Larry. I hope you can stay around for a little while, because one of the things that we will be talking about is how to build membership, and also the idea of having members get on different committees, how you get on a state committee, and we will talk more about that. And one of the other things that occurred to me is Rachel has been very successful with others, including Sarah and Grace, doing Rethinking Psychiatry, and have a project for Satyria, which I think would be a wonderful way for people to have a public meeting in the town where they are doing an affiliate and trying to broaden membership, to have a Zoom talk on that. And we can talk more about that later, and what Rachel thinks about that. So
Yes.
thank you, Larry. Michael, do you want to talk about what you're doing as a new affiliate?
Yes, we're the Portland affiliate and just getting underway. We haven't yet put up a Facebook page, for example. And what we hope to do, what we're going to strive to do, is engage in individual advocacy on behalf of individuals and systems advocacy, such as what in Oregon is called Senate Bill 187, which is the bill that equivalent to what Larry was talking about. It would expand the definition to be poses a danger within the next 30 days and operates off of past behaviors related to past confinement or treatment within the mental health system. So it's a very dangerous bill, and we've advocated here in Oregon for its being shot down. So systems advocacy mainly, and also information and resources for how people can get involved, or self-help types of things, alternatives to the existing mental health system would be a high thing on the list, mirroring essentially what MindFreedom International is doing. And so I'm working with David Oakes on a pretty much weekly basis, having a phone call towards building this new affiliate.
Thank you. I was just wondering, both of Larry and Michael have new affiliates. If you could just think briefly, what would be helpful to the two of you in terms of moving forward, either from other affiliates or from us at Central?
I think working with other affiliates would be very helpful. And where those gaps remain, if you will, after working with other affiliates, then I would consider approaching MindFreedom International for additional assistance. That being said, David is providing a lot of help, as is John, towards the building of this affiliate. A lot of the slowness, if you will, in this getting launched for Portland has been around extreme states that I've been undergoing. And I've got my feet underneath me now and doing much better. Also, running an organization takes a bit of my time, as you might imagine. It's been time constraints and these alternate states that have been hampering my efforts mostly.
I was just wondering, do you have the contact information for all the other affiliates if you want to contact?
I have access to that information through a link that I've been provided by David and John.
Great. Thank you. Larry, you want to say anything about what you may find helpful?
Yeah, I would kind of second that. I think, from my background is like academics, and my inclination, just my natural inclination, is to be organized and sort of armed for battle before doing too much, sort of thinking first and brainstorming, especially with other affiliates and sponsor organizations. I'm very happy to see so much representation by Bazelon today. But things just on an instinctual level feel a bit nebulous to me. So I like to have all those ducks in a row and then really go full blast.
Okay.
I concur with that wholeheartedly.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Sarah, I think you're next on the agenda in terms of, well, the floor is yours. You're on mute, Sarah.
Sorry, if the phone rings again, I might mute myself because I cannot find the volume button on this phone. I've tried for like 20 minutes looking at it. Look, anyway, the affiliate, growing the affiliates was prioritized as the board as one of the things that we want to most work on. And I'm really happy about that because in the interim, when we didn't have an executive director, there was a long period of time where no one was engaging with existing affiliates and nobody was engaging with people who maybe saw themselves as, maybe I'd like to start an affiliate, but I'm not really sure what's required. There was, I think, during the period, we started one new affiliate, or I should say the people in Seattle launched one new affiliate, and it's still active, and they are doing some really good work. They got funding for 3 peer respites in King County in Washington, which is a heck of an accomplishment for a new affiliate within their first 3 years. But I think that was the only new affiliate, and other than that, communication really fell off. And so I think as we get affiliates up and running, the number one thermometer, if you will, the number one way to gauge how we're doing is how much communication and engagement are we having? How much are we supporting our affiliates? And how much are the more established affiliates actually sharing and mentoring the newer affiliates? So that'll be like a real gauge of how we're doing, and we need your feedback in that respect. Another thing that you should probably know about me is my favorite thing to do at MindFreedom is fundraising. And I like resource development the most of all. So the little piece that I really, really want to be a part of is how to build your affiliate through fundraising and development. And so I really want to have the most communication with those of you who want to launch an affiliate, want to start a campaign, but you need like seed funding, or you need maybe a new computer or something, because that's where I really see like my skills are going to overlap with your needs, and we can help each other. So I'm really interested in finding grants that will help us build our affiliates, that maybe we can provide seed funding for new affiliates, or technical training, seed money, or so I'm looking for projects in which your local campaign can enable you to tap into like a community social justice fund, for example, but maybe you lack, maybe you need a fiscal sponsor. And so maybe you need mentorship. Maybe we can come up with a 50-50 kind of a partnership. We help you leverage funds and help you realize some goals, help you maybe with a wealth of information, 30 years of being, 30 years of psychiatric survivors collectively organizing through MindFreedom. You have a lot of talent there, and a lot of knowledge and a lot of experience. So helping newer affiliates, a younger generation of activists be able to tap into that knowledge base. Sometimes like what David was talking about, a letter and call campaign based on bad legislation coming down the pipeline in Oregon. The reason why that group of individuals in MindFreedom Oregon is able to respond appropriately and quickly to bad legislation is because there's a wealth of experience there, organizing experience. So their letter call campaign, I'm really glad that Rachel, you're responding to that, and thank you. And that wouldn't be possible unless that MindFreedom affiliate wasn't aware of the legislation through people like Kevin, Mike, and you're probably involved in that, who are making that accessible to other people. So, anytime you have bad legislation coming down the pipeline, you need someone who can provide the bullet points, the talking points, the people to call. People need to get a little bit of guidance on what actions to take. And every community is different. Every community where there's an affiliate may have different needs, may have different spot fires to put out, may have different dreams, may have different concept of what helpful alternatives looks like. Maybe they want to promote non-drug, non-force alternatives like the Soteria model, or there are many good models out there, and they need help doing that. So I'd like to see collaboration between affiliates. So we're wisdom sharing and movement building, we're coalition building. And I'm very excited that, forgive me, Mary, this wouldn't apply to the Netherlands, but in the United States, we have a system, a network called the Centers for Independent Living. And one of the exciting things that I see MindFreedom prioritizing is trying to create human rights hubs based on geography, based on where there are very active and mission-centered centers for independent living who are willing to partner with MindFreedom to advocate and promote human rights and call a spade when there's a human rights violation in a community. MindFreedom isn't the only one that's willing to talk truth to power. There'll actually be people that get government funding that are actually going to do their job and advocate appropriately for individuals who are victims of forced psychiatry. So we're starting to find out who those are, thanks to our having leadership. Ron is working with disability rights activists to identify which are the centers of independent living that are most likely to partner with us to protect human rights. And I think as those efforts start to yield fruit, I think within a couple of years, we can see these human rights hubs grow and rise. And so if you're in a community where you don't feel like you're a part of a human rights hub, hopefully the water will rise just high enough where you won't feel like you're an island anymore. You'll feel more connected with other states and other communities where human rights are valued, and a paradigm of mental health care that's based on human rights is the vision. So I'm really looking forward to like 2 or 3 years down the road when those efforts start to merge, building affiliates and building support for advocacy, rights-based advocacy through the Centers of Independent Living and through those cross disabilities dialogues and working more with our disability rights partners. So I'm really excited, hoping that those threads will start to connect in the future. But anyway, just in closing, I just want to say that my favorite part of this whole thing is writing grants and asking people for money. Just a little reminder, if you haven't paid your dues as if you are an affiliate, you're required to have at least one member in good standing, which is $35 annual. So just a reminder to fulfill that criteria. And if you're unsure of your membership status, give me a call in private after the meeting. But yeah, I'd really like to work with people on growing resources. So
thank you, Sarah. David, do you want to contribute anything on what Sarah has mentioned?
No, except I want to mention sponsors as well as affiliates.
No, except I want to mention sponsors as well as affiliates.
MindFreedom Portland is an affiliate.
Like MindFreedom Portland is an affiliate.
But NARPA, DRI, Bazelon, like rights.
But NARPA, DRI, Bazelon, Psych Rights.
They're all independent nonprofits.
They're all independent nonprofits.
They've been crucial to supporting MindFreedom over the decades.
And they've been crucial to supporting MindFreedom over the decades.
No, Sarah, I'm very excited to work with you on fundraising.
But Sarah, I'm very excited to work with you on fundraising.
I love fundraising too.
I love fundraising too.
When I worked for MindFreedom, I raised almost $1 million over the 25 years.
When I worked for MindFreedom, I raised almost $1 million over 25 years.
It's a tough field.
It's a tough field.
So thanks.
So thank you.
But Ron, I want to hear from you.
But Ron, I want to hear from you.
Okay, there's a number of things that were brought up during this time. I have some ideas of my own, but let me throw out a few suggestions in terms of what an affiliate can do. I think each affiliate in the region they're in, it would be good if you contacted your newspaper, local newspaper. Usually most newspapers have somebody assigned to public health or some area that relates to us. And, you know, writing to that person, talking, asking for a meeting, telling what you're doing, what your thoughts are about mental health, and creating a relationship with a person at the local newspaper so that when something occurs, you can send it to that person. For example, if something is occurring, which is actually occurring right now in terms of Congress, they have a bill that just passed the House that's going to the Senate that is advocating for behavioral health assessment teams to go into the local schools and find out who might be a problem, who might be dangerous. And there is the potential that all these children who will be evaluated, some of them will look like they need to have some kind of psychiatric drugs according to the assessment. It might be a lot of them. And there is within the bill the possibility that people, children who have been evaluated will be forced to take psychiatric drugs. So this would be a bill that we'd really fight. I don't know if this would get attention in Iowa or some other area, but we would be having documents or letters written up. We can send it to you and then you could send it or talk to your local editor, newspaper person. There might be a radio station or a podcast that you might want to get on. if you get onto one of these things, you will be increasing members. There's always members in the community that don't know what they can do. They want to do something to change what's going on. So this is one way that I believe you can build your organization. The other aspect that Sarah mentioned was funding. Most communities have some kind of funding source for their town, you know, for local providing some money for organizations. Because you're not a nonprofit yet, you would have to do that with our help. We would have to kind of be the pass-through, and we've done that for, currently we're doing that for our board president, who's also the founder of Surviving Race. So since they're not a nonprofit, they're kind of like an affiliate of ours, even though we don't exercise any control, but we do cross-training. So these things are available. The other aspect of building within your community, it's a time-honored, we've all done this who have been in organizing. We create a poster and post it all over, you know, that we're having a meeting where such and such will be discussed. It can be any topic that's of interest. So those are a couple of things that you can be doing to build membership. And it's really important to us, to me, that we build a strong membership within affiliates and also members, at large members, so that when we are challenging something, whether it's a shield, whether it's a systemic abuse, or it's an individual abuse, that we have the power of numbers. I think right now we have something like 300 people signed up for Shield that we have access to. I'd like to see it in the thousands, but that's partly going to be when we expand regionally, which we've been working on. And I think in a couple of weeks, we'll be meeting with a number of interested centers for independent living that will be working with us. They're interested in our issues. We have a lot of, I forget the word for it, kind of mission creep in a good way, where what they're doing is similar to what we're doing, so we can support each other. Big issue for people with disabilities is getting to live in the community, to move out of congregate settings. So we're working on that. Last week, the United Nations did the World Health Organization has a project about deinstitutionalization, which we contributed to. We read a statement. I believe that's on our website. We will also be updating our website to make it more attractive, because it's just loaded with information, but we need to find a way that for the people who stop by, you know, they see something, stop by for a couple of minutes, to have it really quick and easy for them. So we'll be doing something with that. And we're always looking for people who have good technology skills as volunteers. We're looking for interns. And we're really looking to build our numbers. And as part of that, what we'd like to do is have some way of knowing what affiliates are doing, what you're involved in, what your project is. And it's actually written up as part of the affiliates long ago to report on some kind of basis what your experience, what you're doing. And I'd like to institute that again. I don't want to make it an onerous project that you have to write a formal report. It can be very simple, just writing what you're doing, you know, in terms of your projects, and how we can look at it, how we can support it, and how we might be able to communicate it to other affiliates. So we want a really active affiliate network, and in whatever way we can help with that would be part of our mission. And there's 3 or 4 things that I think I'd like to see affiliates do, but you're the affiliate, you do what you feel is most in sync with your community and what you believe. But one of the things that I feel would be a really worthwhile thing to do is, and you can do this at your local library. I've done these things at local universities, at the library, or sometimes a church or a synagogue will offer space for you to do this. And that would be just to find somebody in the community, or you can ask us, because it's a Zoom, nobody has to travel, for somebody to give a talk on a subject that you think of be of interest in the community, and then just create the flyer, start posting it, talk to a local radio personality, ask them if they'll announce, this meeting, and to get visibility and to increase your membership in the community. Another foundation of our movement has been in support groups. I think it would be very valuable for you and your community if you had a support group, 3 or 4 people that meet every week or every other week, just to talk and support each other in the work that you're doing. The third thing that I think is a little vaguer is to be able to learn how to get on committees within your state or your county or locally. And I've been thinking that we might do a training if people are interested in this. Who do you contact? What is the committee? Do you want to get on a protection and advocacy committee for people involved in protection and advocacy for individuals with mental illness is national PAMI, which is part of the PNAs. And we've been doing this for quite a while, so we could help you learn how to do this, how to get on these committees, which committees are meaningful. You might even have a local independent living center that you might want to network with. It's really, I've been trying, and I know David has too for years, been trying to involve independent living centers in the issues of psychosocial disabilities or psychosocial issues. And they've been reluctant. However, right now, they're very receptive. Almost everybody I've talked to wants to do this. They think it's meaningful. So there's a great opportunity to expand what we're doing. I could say more, but let me just ask, the one thing that I missed is what I mentioned about Rachel. Rachel and Rethinking Psychiatry is doing a major project about Soteria House and how to build a Soteria, get support for it, what it is, with people who have been, let's say, clients, residents of Soteria, people who have started Soteria, and also people who had staffed the original one. I think many people around the country don't know what Soteria is, and a blurb about Soteria, what it is, and maybe we can get Rachel and Sarah and a couple of people from Rethinking Psychiatry to do a Zoom meeting. So I'm speaking for you, Rachel. Are you willing?
I can speak really quickly. I'm going to have to leave a little early since I have this meeting with my state representative. But yes, thank you for bringing that up. Long story short, Soteria House is a really groundbreaking therapeutic community residence program with their view of working with people in extreme states is that this is something that you help them find meaning through. And a big part of it is being with rather than doing to. So they're not either pro or anti-medication, but they don't view medication as always a necessity. They don't view extreme states or hearing voices or what would be labeled as psychosis as something to be fixed or medicated away, but something to find meaning through. You can find out a lot more information on our website. There are also some good articles in Mad in America. The first Soteria House was started in California. Unfortunately, there's been a lot of opposition from the mainstream, even though, or perhaps because of its success. There's solid evidence behind it, and there apparently there are still a handful of active Soteria houses in the world. Only one in the U.S. in Vermont, and there are several Soteria houses in Israel, and we have someone from that program speaking on Sunday. So, yes, the Soteria House has a very long, complicated history. There's a lot that can be said about it. And I see that somebody shared some information. Thank you. But yes, on our website, rethinkingpsychiatry.org, you can find out more information about our upcoming event, and you can watch the YouTube recordings of our past events. So yes, thank you, Ron, for bringing that up.
Sure.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, and I have to go because I have the other meeting. And again, thank you to David and MindFreedom for bringing this state bill to my attention. But yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody want to say anything about any of the projects, anything that's come to your mind after listening for a while?
I'm John. Oh,
Yes.
Sarah, raise your hand. Go for it, Sarah, please.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, Ron, since one of the things that you mentioned again was like about affiliates, and I was noticing that there are more sponsor groups here than affiliates, and I was wondering if we could use some of the remaining time in the meeting, even though it's not on the agenda, to hear what the liaisons for these sponsor groups, what are their goals and objectives for this coming year? Like, I'd like to know in 2 sentences or less what their main priorities and projects are, because I really don't know. Like, I don't know what the Basildon Center is doing, but I would love to know. And same with Mira in the Netherlands. I'd love to know what she's working on.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for bringing that up. I was thinking fairly similarly that I was curious about what the
one thing from David really quick.
The 3 folks from Basildon registered are new workers.
The 3 folks from Basildon who are registered here are new workers.
So it's more of a meet and greet.
Okay. So it is more of a meet and greet with them.
And some kind of announcements from Basildon.
And some kind of announcements from Basildon.
It's not.
It's not announcements from Basildon. Sorry.
Thanks.
Thank you. Continue, Ron.
Okay. I'm actually just curious what you would like to. Obviously, you have a career and an internship. What is the internship? Is it legal? Is it social work? Is it, and how might what we do take advantage of you? Just kidding. I mean, the work that you do, that would be helpful.
How can we help each other?
Yeah.
Well, currently the Basildon Center, we're preparing for an event we have. I don't know if you're speaking to the Basildon Center, but we have an event going on the 2nd. Put the link in the chat, but
I
it's,
just did it.
you said that? Oh, you
Just
said,
put the link in the chat so you can talk about it. Yeah.
yeah, so it's about, you know, inclusion, equity, and opportunity in schools and how we can rethink that as well. So that's really what we've been, you know, full steam ahead on for the past week or so. I mean, other than that, the Bazelon Center is currently involved in a lawsuit against Alameda County in California for inadequate mental health care in their prison systems. But yeah, I would encourage you guys to check out the event. It's going to be great. I don't know if the other interns would like to say something.
I'm just curious, is this part of a formal internship project through university or?
Oh, right. I totally didn't answer your question. Yeah, so this internship is a communications internship. So basically what we've been doing for the past week mostly involves their social media as well as their website, updating, you know, what their cases are, which ones are closed, which ones are ongoing, adding ones, transferring information from old website to new website. But like I said, again, like social media, so like advertising for that event. Yeah, it's a kind of social media communications internship.
And all the three of you are involved in communications?
Yes.
Interesting. And who's your supervisor at Bazelon? Or who is?
Well, we have the Bazelon Center. Oh, okay. So, well, usually we correspond with mainly Jalen Red. She's got a funky last name. Redminzing. Hold on. Jalen. Just if you talk, I can't say her last name. Radmizinski. But also Kathy Chamberlain. Yeah. So yeah, like Claire said in the chat, they found us through this program called the Washington Center, which is in DC, and that connects to all of it.
The Washington Center's in DC?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're not, I assume not all three of you are in DC.
No, actually, I think all the interns are doing remotely. They opened that up for this year.
Summer, there's a virtual option, but if you want, you can be in DC for the summer. And then if you're in DC, there are like a few things you may be able to go to. So the fourth intern that couldn't make it today is moving to DC, I think this week or next week. So she will be centered in DC.
So I'm wondering if one of you could just send me the contact person you have at Bazelon. I'm kind of interested in this Washington Center. We would love to have communication interns and see what the requirements are.
We'll put their emails in the chat.
Yeah, please. I don't know the names of the persons that you mentioned, but I know a few of the people there, and that would be a great resource for us if we could connect in some way. So thank you for the information. You're all in different universities though, correct?
Yes, correct.
Great. One of the things that I forgot to mention as part of projects for the affiliates is the establishment of a warm line in the community. That's a little bit more difficult, but we have a couple of people that could do training, including me. I've established warm lines, and they can be very helpful, and also they could be a source of funding for you and in your community. Okay, where are we now in terms of our agenda? I haven't been able to actually thank you for the contact at Bazelon, Tyler. I see it on the chat.
on MindFreedom Oregon.
David says, I was going to briefly mention some things about MindFreedom Oregon.
I'm
Sure.
very, 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 very proud that for years, within a month,
I am very, very proud that for years we have,
very,
sorry, I didn't get enough varies.
very,
I am very, 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 very proud that for years MindFreedom Oregon has met monthly.
and actually Zoom helps.
And actually Zoom helps.
I'll just briefly say that collecting email addresses very helpful.
I'll just briefly say that collecting email addresses from people is very helpful.
Once you hit about 100, you need a service.
But once you hit about 100, you'll need an email service.
We use constant contact.
So MindFreedom Oregon uses constant contact.
My MindFreedom Central uses. What do you use, sir?
MindFreedom International, what service do you use for emailing? Sarah?
I'm sorry, let me make, what was the question again?
Well, Dave was saying how once, what service does MindFreedom International use for their big email lists?
I'm confused by that question. Our big email list?
Like,
Is it,
like Shield to send out emails to large amounts of people. David was
Oh,
saying,
a vertical response currently, and that will be changing soon, yeah.
MindFreedom Oregon, we use constant contact.
and yeah, so at MindFreedom Oregon, we use constant contact.
And it's been a really great active group.
And it's been a really great active group.
What helps is to have speakers.
What helps is to have speakers.
Like when they had Rachel or Mike, that helped our event.
Like when we had Rachel or Mike on, that helped the events.
But that's all. I want to hear from folks like Rachel Arnold and Wayne.
But that's all. I'd like to hear from folks like Rachel Arnold, Wayne, Kelly.
So Ron, I know you moderate the open discussion.
So Ron, why don't you moderate the open discussion?
Thank you, David. Well, I think a couple of things before that, I'd just like to say that for those of you, especially the interns from Bazelon, we've been doing a monthly group called Judy's Room. And I don't know if you're getting information about that, but if you like, we can include you in our lists of announcements that go out in terms of what we're doing. This next month, I haven't really announced it yet because we're getting our speakers together. It'll be on deinstitutionalization. Judy's Room is named after Judy Chamberlain, a pioneer in the movement who did a lot of great work. So we do this Judy's Room, which is a combination of, we work with I Love You, Lead On, which is named after one of Justin Dart's kind of what he would usually say after at the end of the meeting that he did. So her group is made up of about 400 people who have various kinds of disabilities. We combine them with the people who are members of MindFreedom or whoever wants to come. It's a free meeting. We generally have them on Wednesday. The next one is going to be on the 30th on deinstitutionalization and how we can work to further that process of moving people out of congregate living to living in the community. I have one other thing that I would say, but I'd like to follow David's lead and open this up to discussion. Anything that you guys are interested in, want to talk about, how to connect?
I think the separate committees are a great idea. Just going by what inspires people and what pulls people. When I'm thinking about my reflections on that, I think the support group, the in-person support groups, or however that looks, or the warm lines. I can just see many people appreciating something like that. Many people who call our office who I think would use something like that and yeah, just appreciate it as well.
Wayne, I just realized that you're there and you missed the introductions. Would you like to introduce yourself? A couple of minutes? You're on mute, Wayne.
Sorry about that. Well, I have homes in Texas and New Hampshire, and I actually am supposedly the New Hampshire contact. And I'm a lawyer here in Texas. So I can't represent anybody in New Hampshire or any other state besides Texas. But I do some work now pro bono for people. I talk to anybody who calls and needs any information. And one time I've spent many hours working for a fellow who was referred to me through MindFreedom. Although that's a family law matter, as it turns out. We've got that in the Supreme Court of Texas right now, and I could talk about that a lot, but I'm not sure it's really pertinent here. I'm feeling a little frustrated now. I've been following the Charles Helmer case, and it seems to me to show just how little power we really have, and I'm trying to figure out what we really can do that might actually do something. So and there are constraints. I mean, I like David Oak's idea of some kind of underground railroad, but if you look at the statutes on that, you will see that it's lawful in most states to help anybody escape mental health custody. The Texas statute in particular makes it a crime to help somebody escape mental health custody. Now, some states only refer to those who are under criminal sanctions. But it sort of underscores the fact that the whole enterprise is about enforcing standards of behavior rather than promoting any kind of health care. And I don't know how we can get that across. The whole idea of mental illness is so firmly ingrained in people's minds that they just can't, even if they try to be sympathetic, they try to understand. It's just hard to not think that way. But and I'm sure a lot of us are in that same boat. I've been saying for a long time, you cannot be mentally healthy or mentally ill anymore than you could be, for example, politically healthy or politically ill. More than disapproval is required for there to be an illness. Real illness requires the presence of biological abnormality, which cannot be found, never has been shown to exist in any so-called mental illness. And I try to get this message across, but it seems to fall on deaf ears because the idea of mental illness is so deeply ingrained. It's another case of the emperor's new clothes. You've heard that story. Everybody believes it because everybody else believes it. And I think maybe a better mode of attack is to point out that psychiatry has no valid therapy. I remember making a chairman of a legislative committee do a double take when I made that statement. But I think I can document it. And I don't know. I just pass those comments on for your consideration.
Thank you, Wayne. Wayne has been really helpful when we have complaints at the office about we don't know what to do, the legal ramifications of it, and along with Jim Gottstein, who both of them have taken on just really a lot of pro bono work and just advising people, which leads to what we are actually in the process of doing, where we're going to get a database of lawyers that will work with people who are being treated against their will. And we're in the process right now. I'm on a committee that's gathering, who's doing a survey of protection and advocacy lawyers to see what they will actually work with. And then we're going to be combining regionally the P&As that want to work with the kinds of issues that we work with the independent living centers. This is all about, and I understand Wayne's frustration because we're a small group, and that the idea of it is to build enough of a public image, have enough people doing this so we can't be ignored. this is a major project that I think can make a difference. Rachel, do you want to say anything about what you're doing and what you'd like to do, or?
Yes. Am I the only Rachel on the call now? I
Yeah,
am.
the other one's left.
Yes, absolutely. So as I said earlier, I work for Disability Rights International. We're based in Washington, D.C. And for those of you who aren't familiar with what we do same kind of advocacy in terms of supporting people with disabilities internationally. So we're focused on people in institutions, psychiatric hospitals, and asylums, and working to deinstitutionalize and find ways for people to live supported in the community. And we work under the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. And so we've been working for over 25 years in many countries, but right now our main projects are in Mexico, Guatemala, Serbia, and Bulgaria. And so we're always working to document conditions in institutions and try to pressure governments to respect the human rights of people with disabilities and provide community supports. So we're actually hosting an event. Currently, the United Nations Committee on the Rights of People with Disabilities is hosting the Conference of States Parties. The United States is not a states party to the convention. We have not ratified it, but we at DRI are hosting an event. There's the conference of the states parties, but then there's all these side events that happen throughout the week. We're hosting an event on Thursday, and I can place the link in the chat. We're going to be hearing from some of our partner organizations in Latin America. We have representatives from Guatemala, Colombia, and Peru. On the idea of using transitional justice, which is a model for countries coming out of conflict and war that focuses on reparations, prosecutions for people who are the worst abusers of human rights, and system reform and structural government reform. We're going to be looking at using that model as a way to create justice for people with disabilities who have been tortured and abused in institutions. So if any of you would like to attend, it's a free webinar. It'll be held on Zoom at 10 a.m. Eastern time on Thursday, which I realize is a little early for all of you in Oregon. I'll put the link in the chat. And that's some of the main work that we've been doing recently. And as I said, our president and our executive director are, I think, longtime friends of Ron and of David. And so I'm excited to be joining these meetings as a representative of DRI to the MindFreedom affiliate and sponsors.
Thank you, Rachel. Really glad to have you and DRI. One of the things that one of the newest board members from on DRI is Juan Mendez, and he was the UN rapporteur, I never get that right, on the rights of people with disability. And he declared in his writings that electroshock is torture, and he's very receptive to the needs of people with disabilities. And also, you know, there's been a long history of disabilities being in their own silos. And it's exciting right now, even though nobody can agree to the term, the idea of psychosocial disabilities being worked with the United Nations, with different disability groups. David and I are on the NICL committee subcommittee on mental health issues, which is part of the National Independent Living Centers. So there's a lot of opportunities right now, and I encourage all of you to stay connected with us, and we will make sure that all of you will get the materials that we're working on, which, you know, things come up very quickly, and we're getting them out. So anybody else? David, how long does this meeting go till?
2 more minutes.
David says about 15 more minutes.
Okay. So, you know, again, I'd like to open this up, and also, Mira, I don't want you to feel like you're across the ocean, even though you are, and anything that you would like to say, or how we might be interactive with your organization, or just.
Well, you know, what I'm thinking about is what was mentioned earlier about a change in the law, which is considered not what we would want. And one of you was talking about that. You know, in the last 30 years, there have been 4 major overhauls of the mental health laws here in the Netherlands.
Wow.
Each time they have a new name, and each time they have supposedly built-in guarantees for human rights, et cetera, et cetera. And in reality, nothing ever changes. Because what I see happening is, it doesn't matter what's written in the law. Nobody pays attention. Nobody heeds the law. So it's not the law that here in the Netherlands I would want to be going after. What I would like to go after is this superstitious belief in psychiatric drugs, because what you see is that a lot of the so-called mental illness that's going on in the Netherlands is being caused by these drugs. That if only these drugs would not be prescribed, that would save so many lives. You know, I see almost daily articles, and we're a small country, we have only 17 million population, and I see almost daily articles in the newspaper about somebody is killed, somebody stabbed somebody else who was out walking his dog, or you know, somebody killed his wife or his child or something like that. You know, it's just senseless killing, and usually there will be a line that says nobody expected this. He had been having some mental problems, he or she, and had gone to the doctor, was being treated, but nobody expected this. And it's just so obvious that the drugs are the cause. I would like to start some sort of project to drive this point home. You know, maybe somebody who's doing a PhD could do research on this. You know, all you have to do is collect statistics on how much violence is perpetrated by people who were put on psychiatric drugs or something like that. People, and I'm assuming, of course, that we're talking about people who never were violent before. Maybe somebody who's one of you knows somebody who is looking for a PhD project and would be interested in picking this up.
I have actually something to offer you. Are you familiar with the prescripticide video that's just been made?
Could you please repeat that?
Prescripticide. It's a video that was made by ICEP, International Association, and it's I think it's about 11 minutes on the psychiatric drugs, the violence, and there's a song at the end of it. Sarah, could you send Mira that video?
Yep, sure.
And one of the things that I'm
I put that the link to it in the chat.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. One of the things that is possible now with Zoom is if you want to organize something around the video, we could probably get a few of the people who appear in the video to do a Zoom chat about drugs. And I think it would be a beginning of getting a public attention to this terrible issue that gets swept under the rug. So be glad to work with you on that if that's something that seems to be meaningful to what's happening. I've always thought of the Netherlands as being more progressive than what we have here because of the prison system and different things. But I guess, the same, as you called it, superstitions holds.
Lots of people contact us because they want to seek asylum in the Netherlands.
Yeah.
From psychiatry.
Yeah.
It's possible. But, the Netherlands is just like every other country as far as that goes. Netherlands is no different. It's psychiatry. It's I'd almost call it a worldwide conspiracy. It goes on all over the place. And the leader is the United States.
Yeah, unfortunately, one of the major studies by the World Health Organization on recovery from schizophrenia that was done probably about 15 years ago showed that the developing countries tend to have better recovery rates than the developed countries because the developed countries were loading all the other countries with their drugs. It's quite a battle. But I think the more people that we can make aware of these kinds of things, better chance we have of creating change. And from my point of view with MindFreedom, there's the issue of, I think Michael said it well in terms of systemic advocacy and then advocacy for individuals. I just wrote something on this, the idea that we don't have rights unless we can support those rights. Rights don't exist on paper unless you're able to enforce it. So thank you, Mira. And
that was exactly my point.
Jim, you were about to say something?
Yeah, actually, you and Mira just kind of reiterated it, but I wanted to also comment on what Mira said about the changes in the law supposedly improving people's rights and it being meaningless. I mean, that's why I like to sue the bastards, basically, because that's kind of the only way to get their attention, I think. And it'd be really great if public interest law firms like Bazelon would really support the effort against forced psychiatry, and psychiatric imprisonment and forced drugging. And, you'd think that the American Civil Liberties Union, the ACLU, would be supportive, but they never have, or Amnesty International, and they never really have, because it's not really, I think, popular enough. I actually talked to the head of the ACLU, what was his name? Something Romero, I think. He's no longer there, when he came to Alaska once. And basically he said, we're really focused on reproductive rights, basically because it was such a popular liberal issue. Anyway, it'd be great to have these human rights organizations really support attacking for psychiatry. Now, DRI, I think, really does.
Thanks, Jim. I found in my experience that the ACLU and Amnesty International are not exactly supporters of people who have psychiatric issues. You're reminding me, though, that I need to get in touch with the Lawyers Guild, which seems to be more involved with rights of people who are locked up. So I think really glad for the opportunity to talk with all the people who are present here, and we can be a group that keeps expanding. There are so many people. Sarah and Kelly can attest to all the people that call daily at the MindFreedom office, and some of the people we can refer, some of the people we spend a lot of time listening. I shouldn't say we, it's not me, but Kelly and Sarah spend a lot of time listening to people's stories and trying to figure out how to help the individuals there. But we do have the broader area, and that's to make it into the media, get people who are interested in this, because the amount of people who are treated against their will in this country is enormous. And we don't have the numbers on them yet. David Cohn, who I've known for many years, had done a study with one of his students about which states are the highest in forced treatment, forced incarceration. And those numbers are really important to get. They're hard to get, though. I'm just wondering if some of the communications interns at Bazelon might be helpful in doing this. There's Tom Olin, who does a lot of work with independent living centers and different disabilities, has started a disability data group with academics trying to track this at this point. The other thing that I might just let you know is going on, that Disability Rights International and MindFreedom International may be working on getting all the statements that were made by 29 people from different disability groups to get a investigative reporter interested in looking at the statements and putting out a series of articles. So anybody who knows a person who's sympathetic or empathic to our cause and is a reporter, it may be a newspaper, it might be the Times or the Washington Post, but as I've been thinking about it, it might be better to be a major article in a magazine like The Atlantic or Vanity Fair, New Yorker, one that has good circulation and has credibility. So this is something that we will be working on also. I guess we've gone for long enough. And I invite you to participate, all of you, in anything that you see as of interest to you.
You want to let Mira and Sarah, they've got their hands up, say just for a couple minutes?
Yeah, I don't see it.
Yeah, also, David wanted to say one more thing too.
Okay. So Sarah wants to say something, David wants to say something, and Mira. We'll start with you, David.
Yeah, just I love you all.
Just that, I love you all.
And supportive groups, even like Zoom.
Supportive groups, even on Zoom,
have been crucial to my own well-being.
They've been crucial to my own well-being.
Modern humanity has a severe mental problem.
Modern humanity has a severe mental problem.
The climate crisis now threatens all life.
And the climate crisis now threatens all life.
That's our issue.
And that's our issue.
I do things John and I are working on a Zoom for MindFreedom members who want to start a village or think of the watcher.
So two things, John and I are working on starting regular Zooms for folks who would like to start MindFreedom affiliates or link up their sponsor groups.
And this Zoom will be quarterly.
And this Zoom, the Support International or Support Coalition, will be quarterly. Thanks.
Thanks, David. Sarah, did you want to say something? And then Mira?
I wanted to ask a question, but there's not enough time.
Okay. Mira?
Well, somebody mentioned Amnesty International and the Civil Liberties Union, organizations like that who do not support our cause. And that ties in with what I was saying. The reason they don't is because they believe in the efficacy of psychiatry. They believe that psychiatry solves problems, saves lives, heals people. That's why I think that we have to I shouldn't talk about start because all of you have been doing this for so many years already, but somehow we have to persuade people to understand that psychiatry does not save lives, it ruins lives. And it does not make the streets safer, it makes the streets less safe. And I wanted to add in a thank you for inviting me to join you. And it's been a real pleasure. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mira. And I encourage anybody who has been on this call to, if you think of something later, you want something, you want information, we do have a vast archive of research and information that we gladly distribute. So thanks everybody for doing what you're doing. And I think we're scheduled again in August. But please stay in touch. You know, we welcome the input, and if we can support any of the initiatives that are going on, we will. Enjoy the rest of the day. Bye.
Bye all.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you all.